What's going on, everyone? Thanks for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on this pretty big heat dome that's going to be spreading its way across the central U.S. and the southern U.S. We also do have many things to deal with the tropics, okay? So as you probably know, major Hurricane Hilary is expected to take an aim at Southern California and the Southwest. So we gotta really talk about that, as the impacts could be very bad and almost catastrophic, okay? So it's not looking good for a lot of places out there. Then we also do have the Atlantic, which is, once again, it is warming up, and there's a lot of activity going on right now. So it's hard for me to say, but we are kind of getting to the point where we didn't want to get to, but we had a kind of an idea that we were going to get there, which is basically where we all of a sudden start seeing this massive amount of tropical formation in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so we're going to be talking about all of that in your upcoming forecast. So, starting out right now, you can see that most of the country is dry. We haven't had much going on lately. I know this morning I was actually I'm out here on Long Island, and I mean we got a very strong storm, brought cloud to ground lightning strikes. I think lightning hit something that was literally down the road. I'm like, it's 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm waking up. I'm like, oh gosh. And so I'm looking out the window and I'm just seeing, flash after flash after flash. And the thunder it's just roaring. So it was a wild night, but that's what's pulling out of the northeast. But that same storm that I was experiencing was eventually severe thunderstorm warned, but as it got into Connecticut. So this is what we're dealing with. You've got your high pressure out here that's going to be building across the centrally west. This is what's kicking this low pressure and warm air uh, off to the east. So it's just warm air. It's not exactly hot air. It's just warm air and that storm that's getting pushed off to the east. Okay, then you're gonna have that high pressure with this new ridge that's going to be crazy high. The jet stream is going to look very weird. It's going to be kind of like something kind of like that. And then uh, you're also going to have a huge plunge in the temperatures out in the southwestern U.S., which will lead to some more rainfall, which is not going to be good because the rainfall is going to be in large amounts, and that's going to raise flooding concerns, which brings in our Hurricane Hilary. So, again, looking at the radar loop, you could see that the rest of the U.S. Is pretty much dry for the most part, although there are some spotty showers and thunderstorms moving their way across the Florida Panhandle, and then maybe some spotty showers out in the western U.S. But that's pretty much it for the most part. So we'll move on to our alerts, and you can tell that we've got a lot going on. You can see that a lot of the country is lightening up with a lot of alerts. So starting out in the central U.S., I mean, this is when we get that, when we see that heat dome out here. Well, here you go. You got a excessive heat watch out here for portions of southeastern Iowa, parts of western Illinois, and a lot of eastern Missouri. Okay, so that's a pretty big area, just under an excessive heat watch. That's in between an advisory and warning. So usually when you see an excessive heat watch in the central U.S., it's probably you're seeing temperatures gradually getting near 100 or a little bit over 100. But what's really not good is that heat index. That heat index is what we're concerned about, because when the temperature is still, 104 degrees in San Angelo, Texas, when it's 104 degrees, the real feel, which is the heat index, is probably up into 115, 120 degrees. So that's what's the problem is because all these people are feeling the extreme heat, which is the heat index, and that heat index can be as high as 120 degrees. So that's the problem that we're having today, okay? You go a little bit further west. You go down into central Iowa, parts of northeastern Kansas. This does go through parts of southeastern Nebraska. That's where you have your excessive heat warning, okay? That's the main portion of our heat dome, right here in the central U.S. This also does include parts of western Missouri. Okay, this is where the heat can get as high as 105 degrees, 106, 7, and so on, just as your regular temperature. Now, that heat index can really get up into the upper 110s to the lower 120s. So it's pretty wild to see the temperature get really this hot. But you can see that the success fee warning goes down into parts of eastern Oklahoma, parts of western and uh, southwestern Arkansas. This also does go down through Mississippi. This actually does go through parts of the Mississippi River. So if you're in that general area, or if even if you just live near the Mississippi River, in that kind of vicinity, I would really I would force you guys to stay hydrated out there, because it is very, very hot. Okay, but for the surrounding areas, you have that heat advisory for the pretty much outside edge of the dome. That's just out for areas that will be seeing some pretty hot temperatures out there, that could get up to potentially the lower 90s, maybe even the mid 90s. But there also is, you can see, this little area of southern Minnesota. You guys are also under an excessive heat warning. Okay. So we'll move on to the northwestern U.S. You guys have been dealing still with that fire risk, and one thing though that's good is that, believe it or not, Hurricane Hilary will actually impact parts of you guys, bringing some pretty good amounts of rainfall, which is a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing though, uh, that's definitely going to put out that fire risk in a great amount. It's not completely going to put out that fire risk, but it's going to decrease it a lot. But there is also a small risk for flash flooding, although the storm will be dramatically weakened as it moves into some unfavorable conditions. So it'll probably only be a tropical depression or low end tropical storm as it enters your region. But for now, you do have a red flag warning that goes out for a lot of northern Montana. This shifts over to the west, so including portions of northwestern Idaho, western Montana, and then goes into Washington State, eastern Washington State, and then down through central and northern Oregon State. Okay, and so for the rest of you guys, you do have a looks like this is a hydraulic outlook for parts of the of southeastern Oregon, parts of western and central Idaho. So I mean, when you see a hydraulic outlook, it doesn't really mean it's not that bad. It just tells you that the temperature is getting to a point where you have to make sure that you're staying hydrated throughout the day to be able to stay healthy. That's pretty much what you've got. Okay, and then we'll move over to the southwest, where our main action for today is going to be. This is straight out ahead of the storm. This is a few days out. The storm is a few days out. We already have a flood watch up for a huge chunk of the southwest. You've got central and southern Nevada all in that flood watch. This does include parts of Utah, parts of western Arizona, and southern California. So that's pretty much the exact location that we're concerned about for flash flooding from this tropical storm, well, soon to be tropical storm, currently major hurricane Hilary. Okay, and then on the southern side of California, you do have a local hurricane statement that's in this this shade of tan out here. Uh, that could be interesting. It'll give you a lot of details on what the storm will bring. So if you're out there in the way of this and you're under a hurricane local statement, I urge you guys to take a look at that and see what it says. I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it'll give you guys a lot of info on that. Just south of that, you do have a tropical storm watch. Okay, so this is going to be out for the coastal regions of California. So this would also, I think, this does include San Diego. So Southern California, I think this could definitely get spreaded all the way out to you guys. And we may even see a tropical storm warning somewhere out here if this tropical storm watch spreads out a little bit. It's unlikely, but it's definitely possible. There's a chance for that. All right, so that's going to be it for your alerts. And we're going to be moving on to the just taking a look at the GFS model for our temperature anomalies. Sorry. So we're just going to be looking at kind of this map, which is going to be telling us which places are going to be seeing the above average temperatures, which places will be seeing some relatively below average temperatures for their typical, average, seasonal average based on the 1981 to 2010 CFSR climatology study. So, I mean, this is based on just what we've seen in the past for your temperatures that would be during this time of the year, which is August 18th to be specific. But it's based on data that was collected from 1981 to 2010. So this should be pretty interesting as we'll see, how hot exactly it could get, and if we're gonna have to talk about breaking records. So as of now, it's actually not that bad. It hasn't settled in completely. There is some cold air out here. There's some cooler air coming down from Canada, that's pushing away this boundary of a little bit warmer air that's also associated with that trough that's pushing this line of storms off to the east. So it's going to be swinging around and up into Canada, kind of like that. Okay, so you've got that aspect that's around this heat dome, but for the most part, it is actually not that bad, which is not very good. I know when you hear not that bad, it's not very, and I say not very good. It's a little confusing just because I even take that back. It actually is not. It's not that good out right now. Like specifically right now, you already have temperatures that are getting well over 100 degrees out in the central U.S. And based on our temperature anomaly, you have below average temperatures. So it's really not good to see that. Let me get to 2 p.m. Okay. But yeah, still, we get into midday, and you still see below average temperatures out in the central U.S. So when you see already with below average, slightly below average temperatures in the middle of that heat dome, and you still have excessive heat warnings, watches, advisories, and heat indexes getting all the way over 110 degrees, that tells you when this heat dome and heat kind of area is in full force, and the high pressure is in full force, things are not going to be going well. So we'll look at how long the cooler air will last, and so we'll push it to the 19th. You're still hanging on to some below average temperatures out here in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, but just go a little bit farther west. Out here in the Dakotas, you guys are roasting. You have 12 to 16 degrees above your average temperature. So based off of your average temperatures out here in South Dakota, I mean, you're already like 15, 16 degrees over that average temperature. So it's definitely early. We're definitely not there yet. But let me tell you, it's gonna get heated very, very fast. But one other good thing though is that we don't see this heat dome spreading into the extreme eastern U.S., like the northeastern U.S., you guys will probably still stay a little bit cooler. And so if you're on the immediate coast of the eastern U.S., you could probably hang on to some cooler temperatures, although there may be one day in next week or even this week where you get a pop up like 80, like high 80s to lower 90 degrees as your day temperature. So we'll have to watch out for that. But that cold air quickly gets out of the way. I don't know what is going on over here in southeastern Nebraska, but some tiny pocket of cooler air is going to explode out here in southeastern Nebraska. So I don't know if this is a glitch or what, but let me get the sounding out of the way. But the GFS is showing a major, like just a tiny area, but with a major cool down out here. So we could even click here for sounding. I don't know what, I mean, I could even go back to that sounding, but we'll click here for sounding just to look at what the temperature could look like. Here you go, 110 degrees. I mean, that's crazy. The 110 degrees. That heat index would probably be anywhere from 116 to 120 degrees. So that would be out for northwestern Kansas. So when is that going to happen? Well, probably anywhere from now to the 25th and closer to the beginning of September. Um, but this heat continues to spread across the centrally west. We'll stop it here right around the 20th. So this is 8 p.m. the 20th. You can see clearly that pretty much the entire eastern and centrally west is heated by this heat dome. One bad thing, though, is that this does spread all the way to the coastline, so it's going to be probably one of those days on the 20th where you're on the eastern coast and you all of a sudden get a shot of some pretty hot air that's going to bring your daytime temperature soaring above 90 degrees. It's looking possible that that's going to be a scenario for any day around the 20th. But we go back over the western U.S., where things are going to be quite interesting as Hilary makes landfall. You can see that you've got well below average temperatures, almost 20 degrees below average out here in southern Nevada and southern California. So it's that monsoon moisture that's really just bringing those temperatures way, way down. I mean, in the beginning of in the mid July to the beginning of August, I mean, we had temperatures that got as high as 115 degrees, 120 degrees out here along the border of Southern California and Arizona. That was just the regular temperature. The heat index got as high as 130 degrees. So we click for sounding out here. We look at what it would look like anywhere around now, 83 degrees. I mean, that is like a 40-degree difference. So I mean, it's very good to see that how the heat is finally slowing down out there. But bad thing is that's also going to lead to some flooding. Okay, so we go back to the central U.S. and the eastern U.S. It is still you guys are still baking like an oven. And we go. I mean, this would probably be one of those spikes in the heat dome out here. And we look at what Nebraska is going to be looking at. I mean, you're approaching 20 degrees above normal for your temperatures out here in northwestern Nebraska. That's really concerning to see that just only a few days out. But I mean, 112 degrees. It is extremely, extremely, extremely hot out there, and that's dangerous heat. So I would say if you're over 105 degrees, I would say just limit your time outdoors as much as possible. So if you have to be outdoors for an hour or so, make sure you have plenty of water and you're staying cool and in the shade whenever you get hot. Okay, so we really can't risk anybody, becoming prone to heat stroke out in this area because heat stroke can lead to um, some serious physical problems, and that's a whole other story. But the northern U.S., the very extreme northern U.S., is still holding on barely to some cooler temperatures. We'll go back to southern New England, take a look at what you guys will be looking at, and you got 60 degrees. I'm actually quite surprised. So I mean, the rapid change and intensification of your heat dome could actually lead to some serious cool down out here in places like North Dakota, Minnesota, the Northeast, Southern New England, and even as far south as Ohio. So it could definitely get very, very cool as we see the actual heat dome in the centrally west itself get hotter. So it's interesting to kind of see what that pattern is going to look like, but that also has to do with the jet stream. We're going to have a different jet stream here, which is going to be very, very weird. It's going to look very, very different. But you are going to see a huge, huge dip in the jet stream. You're going to have a hike up to this mountain of warmer air, and then the jet stream is just going to fall down through the Canada and U.S. borderline through the high plains, and then it's going to kind of ride this bump in the through the Ohio Valley, and then right into the Northeast. So we're probably going to see some storm systems make their way past this warm air, and they're gonna find themselves just north of it, and then they're gonna kind of move like this and snake their way into the northeast, bringing yet another threat for severe weather, which we will keep an eye on as we get later into August, and then eventually in early September. So that's something you're going to have to watch and keep an eye on. But this heat dome will not stop, and it continues to get even hotter and hotter. We see almost 30 degrees above normal for your temperatures out here in now Iowa. So 113 degrees. So it's just getting hotter and hotter as we get even closer to September. So it's very impressive to see this much heat out there. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to continue and continue, and then finally we do see a huge difference in our heat zone. We automatically on the 26th, around then, we finally get a snap in a change in the jet stream a little bit. Now we see a lot of cooler air really just shove this down back into the southern U.S. like you're stuffing a pillow, and that puts all of the heat back into the southern U.S., and now the northern U.S. is finally cooler again, and then the southern U.S. is eventually still very, very hot. So that's going to be pretty much it for your temperature anomalies, just because I want to get back to the tropics. But I mean, we might even look at this map later in August. But I just want to show you guys that this second wave or intensification of this heat dome is going to be the real deal, and it's not looking good for the Midwest. So we're going to be moving on to Hurricane Hilary, okay? So this is actually a very, very interesting storm. This is a historic hurricane out here. So when I mean historic, I mean that you typically do not see any storm systems out in the eastern Pacific get anywhere near California. And the last time we had a hurricane make landfall in California was back in the 20th century. So we have really not seen anything get near the California coastline, but somehow we have gotten a tropical wave, which eventually strengthened into a tropical storm and then a hurricane, claiming the name Hilary. And now it's gotten to the point where it is a Category 4 major hurricane, and now is expected to take a turn and head right for Southern California. Okay, so here it is right now. This was around noon today. We had a hurricane storm, hurricane force wind gusts out here. I think the winds were estimated at around 145, 150 miles an hour. So I mean, it's crazy. The wind, the amount of wind that this thing is producing is just, it's intense. We go out to Saturday. We're getting it to 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday. It does not lose any steam. Okay. And then this starts to make landfall on the western coastline of Mexico down here. You can see on this little piece of land, piece of Mexican territory that kind of snakes its way down farther south. You have on the southern side of that tropical storm warnings for both the eastern side and the western side. So even if you're not in the cone, you can see that they are not in the cone of the where the eye will pass. Even if you're way out of the cone, like on the eastern side of things, you still have that tropical storm warning. So the wind swaths are going to be very, very, they're going to be very, very spaced out and large, but they're also going to be very, very strong, okay? So eventually this does get a little bit over land, and it eventually does what all hurricanes do, which is lose steam and starts falling apart as it moves over land. But it's still holding on to hurricane strength. This is probably going to be a Category 2 hurricane as it scrapes up against this coastline. And then you start seeing these hurricane warnings. Right here in this red here, this is a hurricane warning on the western coastline of this little stick of land. Okay, so if you're anywhere near this the cone of this hurricane, and you are in Mexican territory, if you are just south of California, even if you're just south of California, but anywhere in this pink, this yellow, in this red, or in this blue, you got to be ready, and you've got to prepare right now, because a major and a very, very strong hurricane is about to hit right now. Like, not right now, but in just a few days. I mean, look at this. The timing is right here in front of your eyes. 6 a.m. Sunday is when this thing is going to finally make a landfall on this piece of land. But this continues its march northward. That's where you get that hurricane watch, where you're still going to have hurricane strength left over. It's just not going to be as intense as it is now. But in this yellow for the surrounding areas, you do have another tropical storm watch. Here you go. This does go into finally U.S. territory. This goes into Southern California. I think this is actually including San Diego. I am not sure, but I think this tropical storm watch is actually including San Diego. So this will come into Southern California as a high-end tropical storm, which pretty much means wind gusts ranging from 55 to 65, 70 miles an hour. So that is definitely, certainly enough amount of wind strength to topple very, very large tree branches, and then topple also, or uproot some relatively large trees. So I mean, you're definitely going to get some wind damage with this storm. There's no doubt about that. When could this make landfall in Southern California? That's a question that most of you have been asking. Well, I would expect most of you guys would be asking most people out here in the weather community on YouTube, just when exactly when exactly is the storm going to arrive? Well, it's probably going to be an overnight storm. I think it's going to start slowly entering California, probably around the middle of the night, just after midnight, and then once you get into 5, 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, maybe even as the early as 4 in the morning, you're going to start getting those big time strong wind gusts. And there's still a chance that if you're in Central California, or even parts of Southern California, that you could be waking up to tropical storm force wind gusts. That's definitely possible. Okay, so that's gonna be it for your cone of Hurricane Hilary. Okay, we're gonna be moving to the GFS, looking at what it's gonna be looking like on the map here. And so we'll skip ahead to where our storm is. This precipitation out here, this is just monsoon moisture. This is just leftover because of monsoon season. That has nothing to do with the storm. Then you get those outer bands of the storm starting as early as 8 p.m. Tomorrow night. Okay, and so it's going to be raining for pretty much 12 hours until you get into 8 a.m. on the 20th. Okay, so you're waking up the 20th. You're getting to finally 2 p.m. So this is midday, the 20th. Here it goes. Starts to creep into Southern California. Maybe even as early as 8 p.m. You'll start seeing those stronger wind gusts start moving their way onshore. But this will make landfall, according to the GFS, as a 988 millibar low pressure tropical storm or hurricane. But this really weakens dramatically. We'll stop it here. This is going to be the highest point of interest for you guys in Southern California. 997 millibars. We'll look at our winds. We'll see how strong these winds would be, because this would probably be when these winds would be strongest. Okay. All right, and you can see that for the most part, the winds after only like 1 hour of landfall, the winds will very, very intense. They will get very, very the dramatically weaken as you see the storm make its way more farther on land. But you still will have some areas along the eastern eye wall that could eventually they could get up to 40 miles an hour. That's still tropical storm strength, but you're not seeing those hurricane strength wind gusts anymore. We go down to just before this makes direct landfall on Southern California. it's still a high-end tropical storm. You can see these purples here just on the eastern eye wall of this storm. You got 52 miles, wind gusts ranging from 50 to 56 miles an hour. So this would be a high-end tropical storm just before it smashes through Southern California. And then just before it gets to that point, now it's a organized tropical storm. So you could tell that as soon as it hits land, it's just gonna really die down. But it's gonna have another bounce back of wind energy, and then you get back into the 40s. You see this little streak of red here and orange. These are wind gusts ranging from 35 all the way up to 40 and maybe even 45 miles an hour. So the winds will definitely be gusty, and they will be gusty for areas all the way up into the northwestern U.S. So all the way from the southwest to the northwestern U.S., you definitely have those gusty winds. 1 second, guys. Let me just pause this video. Sorry about that, guys. That was my sister. She was calling after me. But anyways, yeah. I mean, you will have very strong wind gusts that will be throughout the system, all the way from the southwest to the northwest, kind of like this. But they won't be very, very strong. They definitely won't be as strong as they are right now, where all the storm is all the way back down into the eastern Pacific, where right now it is a Category 4 hurricane with winds that are ranging from 140 to 150 miles an hour. So we'll look at, I believe this is the rainfall total map. Okay, so we'll be looking at the forecast. This is the latest updated forecast for how much rain could potentially fall with the system. Okay, so you see these yellows and these oranges. These are, I mean, this is like 4, 6, up to 10 inches of rain. That is more than enough to trigger mudslides and life-threatening flash flooding, okay? The problem is that you have this area in yellow for a huge, huge area. I mean, this is including many, many major cities. You can see what is this? Tonopah, in Nevada. You guys could see all the way up to 4, maybe even 6 inches of rain. That's certainly possible. You go down to Las Vegas, you guys could get 2 to 4 inches of rain. You see Los Angeles, same thing for you guys. San Diego, you guys are also in that zone here. But this orange and yellow, I mean, this is like 4, 6 to 10 inches of rain, and that is a ridiculous amount of rain. And this would be for just like 24 hours, or maybe even less. This would probably be for 16 hours. So a ridiculous amount of rainfall is definitely going to fall with the system. But you also do have the outside areas even seeing up to an inch or 2 inches of rain, all the way up to Ely, Reno, Cedar City, and Fresno, California. But just all these cities out here in California and parts of southern Nevada are all going to be seeing a very, very big amount of rainfall, okay? By the way, I did make a video earlier today on just a little short video on the specific details on the system in a video this morning, so go check that out. I'm gonna put the link in the comments and also in the description, so make sure you go watch that video. But anyways, back to this. I mean, you could even see 10 plus inches of rain. We'll see here, this red right here, this is about 10 inches of rain. So where exactly? I mean, it doesn't appear to be anywhere near any major cities, but northeast of Bakersfield, you could approach that zone. I think you could get near 10 inches of rain if you're just northeast of Bakersfield, or maybe even just west of Las Vegas. So very interesting to see the fairly close to these major cities getting a lot of rain. Okay, so we'll go to the current flood risk. This is pretty much just this. I mean, this is forecasted for Hurricane Hilary, but is also for out the next 5 days. I mean, look at this. You've got a high 70% chance. This is a code red emergency right here. You have a 4 out of 4 risk for seeing flash flooding out here in the southwestern U.S., okay? So what that means is that you have at least a 70% chance already of seeing flash flooding within 25 miles of a point in anywhere in this pink. So this is just east of San Diego. You have already an at least 70% chance of seeing flash flooding. This also is just west of Yuma, Arizona. So there are some pretty big cities out here and pretty big towns out here that are in the way of this. But this is really where that flood threat comes in. That's where the storm really can get catastrophic to devastating. Okay, but I have a feeling that we are not going to see a pretty picture as the storm makes landfall and just starts to dump a ridiculous amount of rain on Southern California and southern Nevada, because this does also include parts of Southern Nevada, not the high risk. We go to the moderate risk, okay? And this is for the surrounding areas. It spreads out a little bit. You got Las Vegas in the mix, parts of Southern Nevada. This goes through parts of Southern California, including San Diego. Not quite including Los Angeles, but you guys are fairly close to that. That is an at least 40% chance of seeing flash flooding within 25 miles of a point. And then finally, on the outside of that, you have a slight risk, which is at least 15% chance of seeing flash flooding within 25 miles of a point. Okay, that is going to be for that's going to be for 4 states. It's going to be for California, parts of central and southern Nevada, parts of southwestern Utah, and then also parts of western Arizona. So that's going to include a lot of major cities and towns. In that risk, that does include Los Angeles, by the way. And then on the outside of that, you've got that marginal risk, which is at least 5% chance of seeing flash flooding. So that's going to be it for your Hurricane Hilary outlook. Okay, I'm going to try and get through this quick, but we are going to have to look at the tropics. So I accidentally deleted the tab that I was going to look at on the National Hurricane Center. I'll do this on the fly. But yeah, the Atlantic is very, very active. And here we go. Okay, we'll go to the 7-day outlook. Okay. And here's our current map. So we actually just got an update, okay? So this is very, very important for you guys to listen up here, okay? So we got 4 different areas of interest within the tropical Atlantic. We do have a high chance of development in this tropical wave out here. I believe this is Invest 98L. This is Invest 98L. You're up to a high 70% chance of seeing tropical formation throughout the next 7 days. So you got showers and thunderstorms that are continuing to show some signs of organization in association with a broad area of low pressure located a few hundred miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands. Environmental conditions appear generally favorable for additional development of the system, and a tropical depression is likely to form over the weekend while it moves towards the west-northwest or northwest at about 10 miles per hour across the eastern tropical Atlantic. So we would be up to, I believe, TD5 if this would form a tropical depression. So be on the lookout for that if this does eventually form. But by early next week, upper-level winds over the system are forecasted to increase, and further development is not expected. So very, very luckily, we will have a lot of stronger wind shear finally start attacking the system, and it's looking more and more likely that this system will eventually. It'll probably get to a point where if the wind shear wasn't there, it'd get very, very strong. But luckily, we have that wind shear, right? So right after this thing develops, or if it will develop, it'll probably get attacked by a lot of wind shear, okay? So that's Invest 98L. That's our first system that we have in this little 3-way line here, okay? Here's a second system. This has a medium 40% risk for development for both the 48 hours and throughout the next 7 days. So for the central tropical Atlantic, elongated trough of low pressure located roughly halfway between the Cabo Verde Islands and the Lesser Antilles is producing some disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions are only marginally conducive for further development of the system, but a tropical depression could still form during the next day or so while it moves westward at 10 to 15 miles per hour across the central Atlantic. Therefore, upper level winds are forecasted to become unfavorable for any further development. So I think this system has really just ran out of time for development. So if it doesn't do anything as of tonight into tomorrow, I think we're pretty much going to be done with this system. So I'm not too concerned about Invest 99L. I think we will get something, at least something out of Invest 98L. But I think both systems won't harm anybody. They may get one of them may get close, fairly close to Bermuda. But I think overall, I don't think anybody's going to get impacted by that. Okay, we'll go to this disturbance out here. This is disturbance number 3. Our 30% chance of seeing tropical development. You got a 48% chance of seeing tropical development in the a 10% chance of seeing tropical development in the next 48 hours. 30% throughout the next 7 days. So another area of low pressure could form in the next day or so from an along elongated trough of low pressure located several hundred miles to the east-southeast of the Lesser Antilles. Some slow development of the system is possible over the weekend into early next week as it moves generally west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles an hour across the Lesser Antilles and into the northeastern Caribbean. We don't want these systems again there, I'm telling you. I know early in the season when you have a lot of wind shear to deal with, forecasters call the Caribbean the graveyard of tropical cyclones. Well, I don't think so. As for right now, okay, I think if we get any system of some sort or low pressure, just any low pressure center to get through this area and into nearing the Gulf, we could have a major hurricane form somewhere in here, and it's already going to be very, very close to the heartland of the United States. So that's what we didn't. That's what we were trying to avoid all season long is a major hurricane striking the United States, and we just might have that right scenario for this upcoming week. But we do have another a fourth tropical disturbance out here now in the western Gulf of Mexico. This is where almost the warmest waters of the entire world are located, and we have a tropical disturbance. So, an area of disturbed weather located over the southeast Bahamas is forecasted to move into the Gulf of Mexico by early next week, where a broad area of low pressure could form. Therefore, some slow development of the system is possible, and a tropical depression could form as it moves westward and approaches the western Gulf of Mexico coastline by the middle of next week. This is far out. You can see that we do have that X right here. This is where it is located right here, this orange X. It hasn't even gotten here. So when you already have that 40% risk of tropical formation, that tells you that this is still pretty far out, and we still have a chance to see this chance of formation get even higher. So that's what I wanted to show you guys as for today. We're going to quickly run through the latest GFS run just to look at if we're going to get any potential tropical cyclone out of any of these systems. And as for now, the most good looking one out of these is definitely Invest 98L. This is what it looks like right now. We'll see what the GFS does with this. Gets it down to 1,005 millibars, back down to 1,007, 1,006, 1,008, and then kind of does nothing. Okay, and then here goes. I believe this is Invest 98. I think this is Invest 98L, or no, this is actually our third tropical disturbance. So. I think this is either Invest 98 or our third tropical disturbance out in the Atlantic. Tries to get going out here. You got it scraping across the northern edge of the Lesser Antilles. You're getting down to 1,002 millibars. sub 1,000 millibars right here, 998 millibar low pressure center. So there is a chance that this could get a a low end tropical storm. There is a chance for that, and I think we're up to Emily. So there's a chance that this could swipe Emily off the names list of the hurricane season. But we'll see if it does anything else. And no, it does not. Okay. And here you go. This is what we were afraid of, and this is what we don't want to happen. But it does appear to happen on the JFS. I'm telling you, this is not the exact thing that we're going to be seeing. This is not exactly what's going to be happening on the 23rd. This is not what's going to be happening. This is not right. This is definitely going to get changed. There are going to be major changes in this forecast. This is just a model run, okay? This is very, very far out. 120 hours out, okay? It is fairly close. It is only about 5-6 days out. All we can say right now is that there is a pretty strong signal of some moderate to strong development in the tropical Atlantic. That is definitely possible, and we see that appearing in the Caribbean and then the Gulf of Mexico. But here we do get a low pressure center or tropical wave that emerges off the coast of Central America, and this continues to ride through these warm waters, these very, very warm waters of the Caribbean. This goes right past southern Cuba, and then eventually it quickly develops into a hurricane. This would probably be a Category 2 hurricane at this point, 971 millibars. And we'll see what it does. It goes right through western Cuba. So we'll go into the southeast for a closer look at this. And see what this could potentially look like. But yeah, this does go right through southern Cuba as a 962 millibar low pressure storm. Continues to grow 967, and then slams the western coastline of Florida, looking almost exactly like how Hurricane Ian did. So that's also an issue that we're gonna have to look out for. Again, this is not gonna happen. Okay. This exact scenario is not going to happen. We're going to get some changes to this. But what you're seeing now is a very, very big and intense signal and strong signal for moderate to strong tropical development in the Atlantic. But this does continue to ride up the southeastern coastline, goes right through the Carolinas, a 982 millibar low pressure storm, and then moves out to sea. Okay, we'll look at the rest of the Atlantic to see where else it will go, and what else it will do. Let me get rid of this. This is going bonkers on me. I'm almost done for you guys, so I'll wrap this up for you guys. But we'll take one more look at the tropics here. Let me get our precipitation map up. All right, here you go. But here it is. This is that signal that we're seeing with that storm. That system continues to move over the North Atlantic. We're getting to September 1st. This is our peak of hurricane season. We're pretty much right there, and it's kind of flirting with this other potential tropical system out here in the Northern Atlantic, still hanging on to 973 millibars, and then it just kind of moves out way into the very, very cold waters up here near Canada. But that's going to be it for the update. So we have a very, very active day weather-wise today. We have, obviously, the extreme heat in the central U.S. Luckily, we have no severe weather. It's actually almost down to zero. So that's very, very good to see. No severe weather, almost no severe weather in the United States. But we do have Hurricane Hilary that is expected to make landfall in California. I'll probably give you guys updates on this system as we get into tomorrow. But as for now, just watch out for those gusty winds, and that flooding threat is going to be high. You are going to see a lot of flooding out there in California, Southern California to be specific. For the Atlantic, okay, we have 4 different areas, again, 4 chances for development. Okay, so it's a very, very active time of the season. We've continuously for many days, pretty much for a week or 2 weeks straight, we've been seeing a very, very strong signal for some moderate to strong tropical development based off the GFS, the Canadian model, and the European model for the Atlantic. So we'll continue to track the tropics throughout the rest of hurricane season. We are nearing the peak of hurricane season, which I believe is specifically September 10th for the Atlantic. So we're getting pretty close. But we'll just leave it at that. So I'll talk to you guys later about all these different systems. But just gotta stay safe stay safe throughout the rest of this week, and we'll see you guys next video.